Hello! I am so excited for today's video because we are talking about vowel modification. Now, if you don't know what that is, get excited. Vowel modification is one of my favorite tools as a singer. I think when you know how to use it properly, it will work wonders for your singing. It helps to improve range, it helps get a little extra sparkle on those high notes, it can even help smooth out registers. So before we start looking at vowel modification charts, there are two things you need to know about, frequencies and formants. Now, frequencies are a little easier to understand. If you imagine when you sing, you're singing a pitch, and every pitch correlates to a frequency. They're not the same thing, but they have similar qualities. So when you go up in pitch, you're singing at a higher frequency. When you go down in pitch, a lower frequency. What's really cool is that certain frequencies prefer certain vowel sounds. Now, the other thing you need to know about are formants. This one's a little tricky. I think the broad definition is a concentration of energy around a specific frequency. I know, what does that even mean? As singers, we focus on the first two formants. The first formant has to do with the vowel height, and the second formant has to do with the backness of the vowel. So when we talk about the first formant, we tend to focus on the tongue position. Real quick, I want you to say I, E, A, O, U. As you go through those vowel sounds, you'll notice when you say E, the tongue feels very high in the mouth, and then when you go all the way down to U, it feels much lower. When we talk about the second formant and the backness of the vowel, that has more to do with the entire oral cavity. So what I'm going to do is raise my microphone just a smidge, and I'm going to whisper those same vowel sounds. Let's see if I can do it. Hopefully, you recognize that the pitch actually starts to go down because E is at a higher frequency than U is at the bottom. If you find all of this really confusing, that's completely normal. I think it'll make more sense once we start looking at charts together and you have the opportunity to implement some vowel modification on your own. One thing I want to mention before we get started is there are a ton of vowel modification charts in the universe. So if you don't like the one I'm using today, or it's just not your style of learning, please don't give up on the idea or the concept of vowel modification. A quick Google search will lead you to a ton of different options that might be better suited for your learning style. All right, so here we have our lovely modification chart. This one is from a book by William Vennard, but as I mentioned, there are many others, so you just want to find one that makes the most sense to you. Now, earlier I said you need to know about two things, frequencies and formants. The first formant is down here on the x-axis, and the second formant runs along the y-axis over here. We're only going to worry about the first formant today because, again, the first formant is all about vowel height, which we can easily change with the shape of the tongue, i.e. vowel modification. The numbers on the top and on the left represent frequencies, which are measured in hertz. And you can see that as we move up the keyboard in either formant, the frequency gets higher. Because we're focusing on the first formant, you want to pay attention to the frequencies here at the top. So how does it work? Let's apply this first to a vocal warm-up. Let's say my goal is to stretch my chest and mixed voice, but I don't want to engage my head voice. And we're going to pretend my teacher has me warming up on an ah vowel. So I'm going to start on E flat. La 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 la. La 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 la. So right there, that top note was a B, and it felt like it wanted to flip over just a smidge into my head voice, But I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to see what my voice does on the next note up. La 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 la. So that definitely felt strained to me, even though I was still staying in that mixed range. So what I would do is I'm going to look at my first formant, and down here you can see, okay, I was singing this C. So now I need to see which vowels share the same frequency as that note. I'm just going to draw a little line up. All right, so these are my options. I was singing ah, which is right here. Okay, but I need to be singing either an O or an ah, or I can switch and I can sing more of an A or an E. So I'm going to do the same exercise, but I'm going to switch and I'm going to go up to this A sound. Le, 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 le. Le, 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 le. Le, 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 le. So already that was a lot easier for me to sing in my mixed voice just by switching vowels. Now you can see this E vowel only lasts for so long. So once I hit maybe F or G down here on the keyboard, I might want to switch more to A because that vowel sound is better suited for that frequency. Now, instead of a warm-up, what if I want to apply this to a song? When you're singing actual words, the process of vowel modification is a little more gradual. So let's say I have to sing the word can't. Okay, that vowel is right around here. And let's say I'm singing that vowel on A4. So that note is right here. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line up. All right, a little crooked line, but you get the point. The goal is to either get to O or to A. So even though O and A are in the same frequency range, my A vowel is definitely closer to A than it is to O. So I'm going to move up towards A when I start modifying. But I'm not going to go straight to A because if I said can't originally, I don't want to say can't. That's not a real word. No one would understand what I'm saying. So we start by modifying and adding just a little bit of E to the sound first. And if that doesn't work, sure, we add a little bit more of that closed A sound. So here's my A. Can't. Sounds very harsh, a little wobbly. So I'm going to add just a little bit of E to that vowel. Can't. And let's see what happens if I add a little bit more of an A sound. Can't. What is so cool about vowel modification is that I could feel the difference in my mouth when I modified a vowel, but you as a listener may or may not have heard the difference, which is a good thing. The goal is for you to still understand the correct word. It's just supposed to be easier for me to sing. Now the last thing I want to address are these neutral vowels in the center here. Depending on the word you're trying to sing, the first step is to explore these vowels on the outside. However, you might get to a place in your voice where those vowels just don't work, and this tends to happen a lot in our higher registers. So if that's the case, you want to then modify to a more neutral vowel. A lot of times you'll hear instructors say, modify to a neutral vowel, just sing a, which is a great solution, but it doesn't always work for every vowel. So right here we have a. If you are singing a vowel that sounds anything like ah, ah, is a great choice to modify to. But if you're singing oo or o, you still want to maintain the integrity of the word. So instead of having oo sound like we're going to switch to as in book. If you're singing or a, you're going to modify to as in word. I think what I love about vowel modification is you get to experiment. You get to play around and you get to figure out what fits your voice best. Which vowel you choose, how you modify, it depends on so many things. The word you're saying, the part of your voice in which you're singing, even the time of day in which you're singing. If you've been using your voice a lot, if you're fatigued, your vowel modification choices are going to be a little different than if you're just beginning your practice time. Ultimately, the goal is to make singing easier and to produce the best possible sound you can. All right, we're going to stop there for today. I know I just threw a ton of information at you, but I hope you learned something. I want to encourage you to try out vowel modification in your practice time, whether it be in a warm-up or even in a song. You might even discover new sounds and new strengths that you didn't know you had before. So, as always, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next time.